Maraming salamat, Sir James. This is Sir Mel po for his reaction.
Maraming salamat sa TWSC Center for making me a part of this forum, and congratulations to Dr. Dalisay. I call her Sol. Thank you very much for the presentation, because I know this is not just an academic endeavor, but also an advocacy for something that is very, very important and very, very appropriate to our context. You know, some 35 years ago, when I was a student like you, that was 35 years ago, I would often come to a second floor, the size of which is about a quarter of this room. And that was about 1977. So you can estimate my age now. I'm 57. To go in the retiring 8 years from now, hopefully we'll be able to tend to use some of the things that we do, that we found in our researches today. And that room was called Third World Center, not just Study Center, Third World Center. And I'm mentioning this because I'm very much attracted with the subtitle of this forum, which is A Tradition of Resilience and the Resilience of Tradition. I was very much influenced by this center in my writing, as well as by the titles. It was in the Third World where I first heard The Development of Underdevelopment and the Underdevelopment of Development by Andre Frank, or The Sociology of Underdevelopment and the Underdevelopment of Sociology by Randolph David. I guess he was the author of that. And now, this one is very close to my heart, A Tradition of Resilience and the Resilience of Tradition. I would like, therefore, to work on the four of the titles. First is the tradition. I do believe that there's really a tradition of resilience among our communities. And that's the reason why, despite the fact that they're into poverty, despite the fact they're living in vulnerable areas, despite the fact that the hazard is just right there, they're still living up to this time. Okay, so that's true. There's a tradition of resilience. At the same time, there's resiliency of tradition. Okay, meaning, in our research that we did before, they'll say, one of the questions was, since when have you been practicing or having this knowledge? And many of the people will say, oh, time immemorial, pinasa na sa amin yan ng mga lolo't-lolo namin. Which means that this tradition, this knowledge, really, you know, it passed from generation to the generation up to this time. So there is resiliency of traditions. And for those traditions that are working, it is good to sustain and to build and to pass these traditions because they are resilient. So that is my reaction to the title. There are many ways of defining or ascribing or nomenclature used to describe this phenomenon of people's understanding and practices about coping, about responding, about preventing disasters in their communities. And Dr. Dalisay mentioned a lot of them, from folklore to indigenous knowledge, local knowledge, and then the hybrid, he mentioned about the hybrid. My theme for that is endogenous systems. The hybrid, endogenous system. My dissertation way back 2000 was endogenous systems of response to river flooding. How do people, institutions, and communities, respond to river flooding? And endogenous system is defined as knowledge and practices that are within a community, within our community, and at the same time, those that came from outside, external, but have been imbibed, have been assimilated by the community. So therefore, it can also be a combination of the inherent, the intrinsic, plus the external. So you have now a mixture, a hybrid of knowledge. Because tradition is, tradition is, as you said, it is active. It's not passive. It is transforming to adapt to the present context. And there's also when we speak of traditions, there are also some dangers about traditions, because some traditions can lead to disasters. There's a saying, it was not formally written, but this story kept on being shared in many forums about the Apo na Malyari. The Aitas did not leave the mountain, and they stayed in the cave because they said, Apo na Malyari will save us. Of course, nobody can testify, nobody can write it, because they said the Aitas were blown together with the dust. But when they looked for some other Aita people, they couldn't find them. Okay, so this is a belief. It's a belief that if pursued can actually lead to something that is dangerous, and therefore it's not towards resilience. And so we must be very, very careful also about this, about these notions that some traditions are helpful. But as I have said, some of these traditions will dissipate if they are not useful, if what's happening is on the contrary. I'm from Bicol. We are from Bicol. I'm from Albay. I was born at the foot of my own volcano. By the way, the opposite of Oragon is Magayon. Magayon means beautiful. So, and the people there, even if it's already level alert number 3, there are people still staying at the pool or in the communities. If you have Smayan Volcano, for example, if you go around, there's a circumferential road like Eco, something like that, and there are communities, and that's almost at the middle of the road. It connects from one municipality to other municipalities, and there are a lot of communities there, and they don't just leave the area because they said, oh, we know when Mayong volcano will exactly explode. Those things, those are just magma. They're just beautiful sight in the evening. But we're not afraid of that. And they still live there. Okay? And true enough, Mayong volcano is still there. And I don't want it to explode, because one of the beautiful and tourist spot of the Philippines will be gone the moment it explodes. And now it's about, I don't know the update at this time. So the people have their own way of knowing when the danger is coming. But this is not true for everything. Why? Because the environment is changing. What was constant K before is no longer true today. And this is exactly what happened to many communities in Mindanao, even in Ilog, in the Typhoon Frank, or even in Leyte. Because people never thought that there would be storm surge, and that the strength, as well as the strength of the typhoon and the volume of water or rainfall that will fall will not be that much. They never thought that way. Ang lagi sinasabi nila, hindi mo namin akalain. Bakit ganon? Because their basis, their perception of risk is based on their experiences. And that is very dangerous. When we perceive risk on the basis of our experience, and we do not take into consideration changes in the environment, then that can place us into danger. Because hindi ho namin akalaing aabot ng second floor ang baha. Well, last Friday, it was a holiday because we're all at home, and of course SM was also closed. I was a little bit angry at what I was viewing on the television as the people are being rescued. And I said, I posted in my Facebook, I said, Kung kayo ay umalis kaagad, if you left your houses before the flood was high, then there should have been no rescue operation. And that is the danger really. People will not just live, no? Iba naman ito sa Mayon. Kasi pinag-usapan dito, baha. Yung Mayon, constant siyang nandun. Okay? But the baha, the volume of water at the level of flood is very, very variable because of climate change phenomenon. And so, if we keep our tradition constant and without looking at the external environment, then that can lead to danger. And I was telling these people, if they should have really got out of the house, then there would be no rescue. In fact, there should have been no rescue operations if the people will just be faithful to the rules that if this is warning number 1, you follow what should be done. For example, in Marikina, if it is already level 16 you have to be ready by 18, it's already compulsory. But the point is, it's already 19, there's still people around. Okay, di ba naman sila sabi nila, nagbabantay sila ng kanilang mga gamit. So what I'm just trying to say is that we should be very, very careful, as what Sol said. We should be very, very careful about the traditions because it can pose dangers as well. The third is about integrating scientific knowledge in scientific knowledge in local indigenous knowledge. We have just completed a research, for UNESCO, and so Dalisay was one of our experts we consulted during our scientific workshop. And this is actually the publication. I'm going to give this to the third world, okay, so that you have a copy. You have this, the CSSP has its own library. I'll give one also. Okay. So another friend of mine is here. Mom. I think, hindi ko akalain darating ka, so I'll give you a copy later. I promise I'll give her. Anyway, in this research, the question is how do we integrate science? We attempted, and it actually came up with a process. We call this light scientific knowledge. It's an acronym. L for links, local indigenous knowledge. I for inventory, live. V is for validation, and E for establishing scientific knowledge. Doon daw magaling ang Pinay sa mga acronyms. Live scientific knowledge. And it is already published in this book and also published in the journal that's available in the web. So it's now being circulated globally, that process. But we came up with a way of doing an inventory of local knowledge. We have different types of local knowledge, and Dr. Dalisay is very, very familiar with that. Okay, we have the animal behavior, the observation of the celestial body, observation of the environment meaning the river, the vegetation, the plants, and then we also included traditional belief and practices, including bayanihan, and they also have material culture, the things that we use for disaster risk reduction, for warning, and finally including faith-based belief. Now we did an inventory during the first year, and then during the second year was validation with scientific knowledge. We presented all this knowledge. By the way, this is in coastal communities, Alabat, Angon, and Rapu-Rapu Island. We convened experts, we convened scientists, all doctorate. For the social scientists, we have anthropologists like Dr. Dalisay, Dr. Dr. Mangahas, and then we have meteorologists, we have biologists, we have theologians, all those stuff, and they made an assessment or trying to give explanation to some of these knowledge. And indeed there are explanations there are scientific explanation to what the people believe, but not all. There seem to be superstitious thing, but we said, okay, even if you're not able to find out some scientific explanation to this, then we still have to respect and to maintain this one because this can still have use to the people. For example, just to give an example, prayer, because you have to prove that God exists, etc., blah, blah, blah. But among the people, they said that when they pray and when they believe in like this, then they actually have greater sense, the greater sense of resilience. They became more, vigilant despite the fact that they're in danger. Okay, so even if there are things, belief system that cannot be explained scientifically, still they have values or importance to the people in terms of disaster risk reduction. Ang dami ko na isulat dito hindi ko na yata ma-share yung ibang mga reactions ko. Pero yung sinasabi ni Dr. Son na ang daming mga studies dito, yes, that's true. I would like to mention, sa si Greg Bangkok, who did a study on culture of disasters. I think it's available in the web. Okay? Ano siya? Yung mga nasa DRR usually, because of the nature of the discipline, nasa website, yung mga materials, no? While there are copyrights, but also made public, they also have, even Landa Hocano, books on the Filipino values, although these are not focused on disasters, the concepts and the values that propagated were actually geared towards disaster resilience. You're going to use that. Well, I would add this. This is the product of the UNESCO project, in which I was the director for the Philippines, and this was also implemented in Timor-Leste as well as Indonesia. You have additional one, right? The dissertation and SOL's publications. It was actually, there are three things that are true to the three of us. We're all faculty of the university, we all see outside, and we're all connected with this one. This is Disaster Prevention and Management, International Journal. This is ISI, Thomson Reuters. Okay? So I'm one of the co-editor. He's assisting us, and Ma'am Dalisay is also one of the reviewers and author before. Okay, so I'd like to invite everybody to submit here for an international publication award among the faculty and staff. Okay, so with this, ang dami pang pupuntahan, pwede pang pasukin ng usapin ng local indigenous knowledge and disaster risk reduction. And I do believe that together with us, faculty from UP, we can actually come together, build up even a master's or a PhD in disaster risk reduction without establishing or instituting a new subject, because all courses are already available. Thank you so much.